Peter Parker first noticed it on a Tuesday, the most forgettable day of the week, when a woman he had never seen before grabbed his arm outside a bodega in Queens and started crying his name, like she had been holding it in her lungs for years, calling him her son, apologizing for not protecting him, thanking him for coming back, and Peter gently pulled away, stammering that she had the wrong person while his spider sense screamed not danger, but grief. And before he could ask anything, she looked confused, then empty, then walked away like she had just woken from a dream that dissolved mid-sentence. And Peter told himself it was stress, multiversal residue, trauma from too many resets, until it happened again and again, a man shaking his hand hard and calling him best man, a little girl hugging his leg and asking why he worked so much, a stranger on the subway smiling, with recognition so deep it hurt to see, and none of them existed. In his life, none of them were in any memory he owned, yet all of them looked at him like he was a missing piece they had already lost once before. And the worst part was not the confusion, but the way his chest hurt afterward, like grief without context, like mourning something you were never allowed to remember. And when Peter finally followed one of them, a boy who kept calling him Mr. Parker with reverence and fear, the trail didn't lead to an address or a job or a secret villain lair, but to a dead end, a literal one, a construction site where reality shimmered faintly like heat above asphalt. And when Peter reached out, the world blinked, just for a second, and in that second he saw it, a version of himself older, tired, alive, standing in a kitchen arguing gently with someone he loved, and then it was gone, cut clean like a corrupted file. And Peter fell to his knees because he understood then that this wasn't Team Memory Bleed or Magic Backlash. It was deletion, and the multiverse, infinite and cruel, was not just creating timelines, it was pruning them, trimming futures like overgrown branches, and Peter Parker was the branch that grew too far, too fast, too important. And when he finally found the place between worlds where broken universes go to be forgotten, it wasn't guarded by monsters or gods, but by silence and logic, an archive without shelves of web, without a spider. And there he learned the truth that no Spider-Man ever gets to keep for long, that when Peter Parker is allowed to be happy, when Spider-Man is allowed to win completely, when the mask stops costing him everything, reality destabilizes. Because Spider-Man is not just a hero, but a pressure point, a convergence of probability, a person whose choices ripple afar when he is anchored by love, family, certainty. And so the multiverse learned to protect itself by ensuring his isolation, by letting him save everyone except himself, by erasing timelines where he became a husband, a father, a mentor who lived long enough to matter permanently. And those people who recognized him, who loved him, were not hallucinations but survivors of collapsed worlds, fragments allowed to exist because they no longer posed a risk, echoes of erased victories wandering the universe that no longer remembered why they hurt. And Peter saw them all then, millions of lives branching from him and being cut back, futures where he grew old teaching science, futures where he died peacefully knowing he was enough, futures where the mask came off and stayed off, and every single one ended the same way, with a system decision, a silent correction, a Spider-Man removed for becoming indispensable. And Peter screamed into the archive that it wasn't fair, that heroes were supposed to win. And the answer came not as a voice, but as understanding, cold and absolute, that heroes who win completely stop being stories and start being foundations. And foundations crack universes, and suddenly Peter understood why he was always alone, why every victory tasted temporary, why even the people he saved eventually forgot his face. Because loneliness was not a punishment, it was a safeguard. And for the first time, the multiverse did not threaten him. It offered him a choice, the cruelest one of all, because it showed him the last surviving timeline where Spider-Man could keep everything, where he could save everyone and stay loved and known, a world balanced on the edge of collapse, but not fallen yet, a wife waiting, a city that slept peacefully because it trusted him absolutely, and it told him he could step into it, claim and anchor himself there forever. But doing so would cause a cascade, trimming not just his other lives, but entire universes dependent on his sacrifice. Or he could do what Spider-Man always does, step back, let himself be forgotten, allow the multiverse to erase every version of him that mattered too much, including the one standing there now. And Peter thought of Uncle Ben, of every choice that taught him responsibility, without ever explaining the cost, and he realized this was the final lesson. That responsibility sometimes means choosing to be small so others can exist at all. And with tears blurring worlds together, he made his decision not with a speech, but with an action. tearing his own thread from the web, severing himself from the archive, allowing the system to collapse every timeline where Spider-Man won the heart, including the one where he learned the truth and when the universe reset itself quietly. Efficiently, no one noticed anything change, except a few strangers who sometimes felt sad for no reason, and a young man in Queens who kept helping people even though no one ever remembered his name. And somewhere in the multiverse, stability returned, protected by a hero who would never be thanked, never be loved the way he deserved. Because Spider-Man didn't save the world by winning, he saved it by staying forgotten.